Today I bring you a powerful and urgent read, a message that is not only to be heard with the ears but felt with the soul. You may think you're entering an ordinary week, but what's really in front of us is an intense, energetic crossing, camouflaged by cosmic silences and events that seem too small to call attention to. But pay attention, the universe is whispering, and those who do not listen now may be shaken later. We live between two eclipses, and that alone would be enough to alter paths, realign truths, and expose what is hidden. But there's more. Much more. Saturn, the lord of time and karmic lessons, is hiding his rings. Do you feel the symbolism? That which is usually visible, delimited, organized, is now hidden. Saturn, which represents structure, responsibility, and all that was built on fragile foundations, is about to collapse illusions. When their rings disappear from our view, it is because the masks are also about to fall here on Earth. On March 28th, the Moon, our emotional guardian, goes into direct confrontation with Saturn. And although this event may go unnoticed by those who live only on the surface of life, those who walk with an awakened soul will feel every reverberation in their energy field. It will be a day of spiritual testing, a date of emotional ordeal. Energy will require courage to confront truths that were pushed under the rug. Truths about relationships, about who you have become, about the paths you swore to follow but strayed from. The energy of the Moon in confrontation with Saturn reveals where you have not been honest with yourself. And it's not about guilt, it's about liberation. Are you ready to face your truth? And then comes the apex, a partial solar eclipse, marking the end of this journey and the beginning of another. It's an energy blackout, yes, but not to bring you down, to force you to see in the dark. When all the lights go out, that's where true vision is born. The vision of the soul. The dark phase of the Moon is always an invitation to retreat. But this time, it brings something else. The ultimate test of intuitive confidence. The universe will silence you, take away the signs, put you in a space where there are no external answers. Because the time has come to listen to your own compass. To trust what vibrates within, even when everything around seems mute or contrary. Can you understand now? This week is not just an astrological passage. It is a spiritual rite of passage. The outside world can continue its normal rhythm. People can continue to be caught up in distractions. But those who are waking up, those who feel, those who have ears for the subtle, those will know that this week demands irreversible choices. You have two options: resist and cling to the past, to comfort, to old versions of yourself, or accept that transformation has arrived and take the step that the future is demanding. A step of faith, not based on guarantees, but on an inner certainty that screams even in silence. You can no longer be who you were. Don't wait for someone to save you. Don't wait for the answers to fall from the sky. This week the sky is hiding, and will observe who still despairs in the darkness, and who, even in the dark, remembers that it is light. The journey is just beginning, and the question the universe asks you is simple when the light returns. Who will you have chosen to be? If this message touched you, if it resonated with something you didn't even know you needed to hear, share it with someone who is also passing through this energetic portal. Do not underestimate the power of an awakened consciousness. And do not forget, in the coming days, more than ever, meditate, breathe, write, hush up, and listen. Heaven will speak, but only to those who have learned to listen with their heart. The week begins with a semblance of tranquility. The sky, seemingly calm, hides under its surface an intense energetic web, woven by cosmic forces that work beyond the reach of ordinary vision. This is the first sign that we are being led on a journey that requires more than watchful eyes. It requires a present soul. Between two eclipses, we are pulled into a liminal energetic zone, a vibrational corridor where the past begins to dissolve and the future has not yet manifested. We are between worlds, and it is in this space that the real transformation begins. The energy of the approaching partial solar eclipse will not just be an astronomical spectacle, it will be a field of purification and realignment. Eclipses, in spiritual language, are like cosmic scalpels. They remove what is dead, hide what needs to be revised, and force an energetic reset in areas of life that have become stagnant. This eclipse, specifically, brings the force of blackout, an intentional pause in the frequencies that normally guide you. You will feel like you are without map, without compass, without direction. But that's not punishment. It's invitation. Here begins the first big lesson of the week, the ability to navigate the invisible. Many people expect clear signals to act, external confirmations, validations. But the eclipse will come just to cut this thread. The universe wants to know, when the signs are gone, will you still know who you are? When all is quiet, will you trust your inner Saturn, which is energetically involved with this eclipse, represents time, responsibility, structure, and karma. When your energies combine with those of the moon, guardian of emotions and memories, we have a spiritual field conducive to deep revisions. Truths that were covered up will begin to leak through the cracks. People you idealized will reveal nuances that were not visible before. Plans that seemed solid will begin to shake. The eclipse opens up the perfect setting for what you didn't want to see, but now need to face. This is the time for you to observe what is trying to remain even, though you know it is over. What internal structures, beliefs, fears, patterns are still holding you back? The eclipse asks you mercilessly, until when will you insist on carrying what should have already been left behind? And more than that, heaven also wants to know if you're willing to make room. Because when the eclipse darkens everything, it is so that you can be born again, and there is no rebirth without symbolic death. This is the time to let go. Let go, give up control of the fixed plane, the wounded ego, of repeated stories. The new only enters where the old no longer dominates. Spiritually, this phase calls for specific practices, energetic fasting, move away from contents that pollute your mental field, inner silence, reduce noises, cultivate solitude, liberation ritual, write what you need to let go and burn symbolically, guided meditation, in dark spaces, to train perception without the eyes. These practices are not just symbolic, they train your soul for what is to come. Astrology points out that this transition involves the signs of Aries and Pisces, the warrior and the mystic. That is, it will be necessary to act with courage, but also with surrender. Lead your own way, but without having to control the results. A dance between strength and faith, between decision and surrender. And this dance begins now. The numerology of the week also speaks loudly. The vibration of the number 9 resonates with closures, cycles that complete each other, wisdoms acquired through suffering. 9 is the number of spiritual maturity. It appears when you already know enough to do differently, but still resist for fear of losing something that, deep down, no longer belongs to you. The week carries this vibration, the end before rebirth. And here's a hard but necessary truth. If you try to go through this week with the eyes of the past, you will be crushed by the repetitions. The universe is no longer tolerating postponements. There is no more energetic space for those who insist on ignoring the calls of the soul. It is now, or more pain later. Be attentive to dreams, to sudden sensations, to memories that return without explanation. These are the echoes of the eclipse activating your hidden consciousness. Your body will feel it first. Your mind will resist. But your spirit will know what needs to be done, so I invite you, take a deep breath, look inside. Silence the rush of the world. Do not try to understand everything now. Just listen, observe, and trust that chaos is clearing the ground for a new world to be born within you. And remember, you are not here by chance. If this message has found you, it is because the universe is preparing you for a turn of the page that will change everything. But before the light returns, you have to learn to walk in the dark. If it made sense, write in the comments, "I trust even without seeing." Share with those who need to wake up. See you at the next reading. And until then, keep listening to what heaven is trying to tell you inside. Imagine for a moment one of the most symbolic celestial bodies in our solar system, Saturn, losing what makes it recognizable from a distance: its rings. This image, which is now manifesting in the heavens by a rare astronomical phenomenon, carries a spiritual metaphor too deep to ignore. Saturn, the archetype of structures, of time, of slowly maturing truths, decides to hide its limits, its edges, its contours. This temporary disappearance of Saturn's rings is more than an astronomical detail. It is a vibrational key. He is telling us, that which you have always seen clearly will now be hidden so that you will learn to see the invisible. It is a spiritual inversion. What was obvious is hidden. What was camouflaged emerges. Spiritually, Saturn represents the stern mentor, the teacher who doesn't relieve but teaches. It imposes limits, asks for responsibility, demands maturity. When it connects to our personal journey, it exposes that which still needs to be structured, healed, faced. But when their rings, which symbolize protection, restraint, and form, disappear, we are challenged to see what lies behind the form, perceiving the naked content, the raw essence, the truth that no one wanted to admit. And here begins the second big lesson of this week: the masks will fall. And not only those of others, yours too. Relationships that seemed solid can sway. Paths that seemed safe can turn out to be illusory. You may realize that you have been holding on to a version of yourself that no longer exists. And all this because Saturn is pulling back the filters. On March 28th, when the moon, symbol of emotions, memory, and intuition, makes a tense aspect with Saturn, the sky turns into an uncomfortable mirror. The confrontation between these two spiritual giants is not smooth, it's a collision. And what does it activate in you? That part that still tries to control everything for fear of collapsing. The part that still believes that if it keeps the appearance, it will be enough. But it won't be. This conjunction opens up the emotions that you have been trying to swallow for months. It shows the wound you insisted on ignoring. It unlocks the emotional drawer where you hid an unresolved love, a resentment disguised as strength, or that promise of change that never left the paper. Nothing is hidden when Saturn decides to remove the veil. You will feel this energy in a physical way, including emotional tiredness, feeling overwhelmed for no clear reason, altered sleep patterns, bouts of sudden anxiety, or an unexplained sadness that seems to come from afar. All these are manifestations of the body reacting to Saturn's energetic pressure. Don't fight it. Welcome. Breathe. Release. This is where spiritual practice becomes vital. You need anchoring. Create rituals of clarity. Write down on paper everything you feel but can't say. Use crystals such as obsidian or onyx to protect your energy field. Take baths of coarse salt with rosemary to purify the emotional. Do meditations aimed at the root chakra, the center of security and inner structure. Saturn does not ask for lightness, he asks for base, and you will only cross that test if you have deep roots. Numerologically, the number 8 governs this aspect of the week. 8 is the number of karma, of return, of divine justice. He teaches us that everything has consequences, that what you plant, you reap, even if it takes time. The number 8 vibrates with Saturn. It amplifies the energy of responsibility. So you can expect that this week, what you avoided facing will return with force. Be it a conversation, a feeling, a decision not made.